And God said, be fruitful. Now there are many well-known and important scriptures, such as John 3:16, John 10:10, Mark 11:22 through 24. However, I believe that Genesis 1 verses 26 through 28 are not only important but fundamental to us understanding the what, the why, the how, and the who we really are as God's special creation. Now, to help us understand ourselves and what God had in mind when He created us in His image and likeness, we will start with Genesis 1:28, and specifically looking at the last thing God did and the first thing God said to us, to mankind. Because in that lies the key to the rest of the Bible and to the fullness of God's plan for mankind, for you and for me. Now in Genesis 1:28 we can read, then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion on the earth. So the last thing God did before He even spoke to us was He blessed us. In other words, God empowered mankind, us, to live that life that He created us to live in His image and His likeness. God provided everything we would need to live full, prosperous, and successful lives without any lack or need. Then God explained to us how this will all work. And the very first thing God said was, be fruitful. An interesting expression and choice of words that God used to explain His character and to give us a picture of what being like Him and living like Him in His image looks like. So let's go to Genesis 2 verse 9, which tells us that God planted many fruit-bearing trees in the Garden of Eden, and then God used the example of a fruit tree to give us a picture of what our character in His image was to be like. Now, for instance, what does an apple tree do? Simply, it bears apples. In other words, it bears fruit. So to be fruitful is not really a mystery. But why did God use this kind of picture? Because it is more than just bearing fruit. Now consider this. The last time you saw an apple tree, was that apple tree eating an apple? No. Apple tree does not eat its own fruit, because the fruit tree is not being fruitful for itself, but it is doing what it is doing for others. In fact, Jesus, who came to earth as a man, lived His life as an example for our benefit. Jesus did not live His life for Himself, and also not for the Father, but for us. Yes, we all know John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His best for us. But it's time for us to start living 1 John 3:16. By this we know love, because He laid down His life for us. And we also ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. A fruit tree, a life lived in His image for others.